All right, how you getting on? You well? Or should I say, are you Noel? Noel, 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 Noel. Born is the King of Israel. Little kids singing that. Little Irish kids. Little lads from Canberra to be singing that. It's mad, isn't it? Not to say that they shouldn't be religious, but anyway, how are you doing? You good? Ho, 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 you getting on? I'm Santa Claus, huh? How's things? I shouldn't even be here today. I'm on paternity leave, and then I had a few little podcasts in the pipeline. But I had to break my pat leave. We had a stunning little daughter. Terry gave birth. We gave birth. You know, we're having, because we always say we're pregnant. You know, but then all of a sudden all of a sudden goes walkabout, and all of a sudden it's all about Terry when the baby's born. No, she did great. We did great. We did wonderfully. We kept our cool. It didn't hurt us. I know she was amazing. She, Terry, I don't know if she minded me telling you this. She gave birth on all fours and then caught the baby, and I couldn't believe what I saw. It was like it was like seeing a Na'vi born. She all of a sudden became a feral, Na'vi warrior, kind of like Neytiri, giving birth and caught the fucking baby on the ground. I was one of the most impressive things. I was crying from the sheer shock of like, holy shit. It was like seeing Rey Mysterio do a fucking, 619 off a ladder. Even if he can do that, I don't even know if he can do that. It was mad. It was brilliant. Like, oh my God. So it was pretty cool. So she's there next door. So I want to go back to her, right? To my girls, right? So I'm gonna fucking bang this Toy Show podcast out, right? And I'm not going to get down in the weeds with this, okay? I'm not going to get down in the weeds with this. Look, this is the third annual review of children performing on the Toy Show, and look, there's two wolves who live inside me, okay? When I'm objectively watching the Late Late, right? One is a big wolf that says, there's 3 million people watching this. They should do better. Why isn't this show better? Why is this so formulaic? Why is this so cookie cutter? Dust off an old fucking doc file on the Microsoft OneDrive in RTE, and then go Control F find, and then replace with every single year. Control find the theme. Delete the word Frozen, insert Wizard of Oz. Delete jokes about Frozen, insert jokes about Wizard of Oz. Replace Ed Sheeran with a video of Emma Watson. That was a bad choice. That was an example of a bad choice at the Late Late Toy Show. But I find it very formulaic. And there's the wolf that I feed. Which one do you feed? That lives inside you. And he's very hungry. And he says this show should be much better. This wolf that lives inside me. And then I have another wolf that looks at these kids and is like, these fucking brave, gorgeous kids. These kids who willingly went onto RTE, and if you put anything on RTE, you are all of a sudden in the firing line of the public. And I mean really the firing line. Like, you are the enemy. You have popped your head above no man's land, out of the trenches, and these kids are there lighting fucking fags. Don't care if the embers are there. And it's like, if you're gonna fucking shoot me, then shoot me, they say, these kids. And they're so brave. And I think it's amazing that they go on there and the effort that they make. So this is the wolf inside me. It's like, these are just kids. And if any fucking Facebook comedian with a podcast started having a go at my child, saying she wasn't good enough to sing Defying Gravity on the Late Late Toy Show. If someone said that about my daughter, like, I might think, maybe, I might have thought that about the kid, right? With the greatest respect to the kids. They're brave. But then there's this wolf that's like, okay, if anyone said that about my daughter, that she couldn't sing Defying Gravity, I would flay this creep. I'd flay him. I would tie him to a cross and flay him. I would peel the skin off his body. And I'd go full, Gaddafi on him by putting stuff up his butt. I just keep putting stuff up his butt, right? Until he was like, please, nothing else in my butt. Hey, I would do that to this man if he had a single thing to say about my darling daughter or son. If Sonny went on Late Late and started singing Defying Gravity, guess what? If anyone even says boo to a goose, if anyone even coughs, I'm going to fucking cut your head off. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm coming from. So I don't want to be... I have a platform. And when I was on when I covered the Late Late Valentine's special, I was having a go at everyone on there, and then like 5 of them got in touch and they were like, well, it's just a bit of fun, getting on the Late Late, it's just a bit of fun, And I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm not having a go at you, and I have to realize that some people don't have a reach. These are citizens, and although I feel like a constant fucking twisted outsider, nonconformist and everything, grunge freak, right? I still have a platform, and that comes with some level of responsibility. So I can't get into the weeds how I normally would about really having to go with these kids. But I will say this. One thing I'll say briefly that should hopefully cover the whole thing. I did watch the Late Late Toy Show, and I didn't think it was very good. And it's not on the kids. Oh my God, it's not on the kids. But if I was to say something about the kids, I would say the Spotlight Stage School are slipping. You're getting complacent in your monopoly of representation on Irish TV, the Spotlight Stage School. I think you need to bring back the old fucking Billy Barry fucking kids. Billy Barry doing the Bartman. That's what you need to be bringing back, okay? Because I don't know if I think the Spotlight Stage School are rolling out any old shy. Look, I will just say there might be a baby born every minute, but there isn't a star born every minute, okay? With the greatest respect to everyone. There is not a star born every minute. Kate Bush, I don't know why she came to mind, but Kate Bush comes along once every 10 years. You know what I mean? Come on, who are we kidding? Once every 30 years. But like, I don't know, Olivia Rodrigo comes around every 5 years. And there was no Olivia Rodrigos on this. Do you know what I mean? There's no Paramores on this. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just saying, if there was not a kid who was up to the chops, I think the onus is on the producers of the Late Late Toy Show to say, listen, Charlotte, thanks so much for coming in, hon, but it's not your year. It's not your year, hon. But listen, you're not going to be on the Late Late Toy Show because that wasn't very good, hon, okay? But I want you to know that if you work your buttons off and you come back next year, I swear you'll also be able to audition again. And if it's not good enough, you also won't come on. Why doesn't anyone have just take a child? You can actually do so good for a child. I would have loved a participation medal growing up. Okay, I'm a sport averse, sensitive, creative. Okay, and I would have loved getting a participation medal. But I tell you what, I really would have liked is someone being. That's a good drawing, but do you know what? I think you can do a bit better. Do you know what? You got a lot of spunk, kid. Hey, kid, I'm your mentor. You got a lot of spunk, right? Now you just work on that for a year, and you come back, and I swear you'll have a great chance to do something. You know what I mean? I think that would help some of these kids. If that kid had a year to be like, okay, I've been given a year. They said I'm not ready, but they said in a year's time I might be on the Late Late. Spend a whole year being like, I'm going to be on the Late Late. I'm going to be on the Late Late. I'm going to be on the Late Late. Charlotte, do you want to have pizza? We're gonna go to have some pizza and watch whatever. I'm a Celebrity. She goes, Ma'am, I'd love to have pizza, but I need to practice my song. You know what I mean? Hey, rather than go anyway. So that's all I'll say about that. Spotlight Stage School, you're slipping, and you can't just be rolling out any old stuff. With the greatest respect to these brave, incredible kids. I will also say another thing, right? No, we'll get to that when we come to that. All right. All right. So let's start the show. Also, I will say one last thing on the child performances. I think singing, okay, we've seen it. Plenty of that. Thanks very much. Great to see there was some comedy this year, okay? But I think do get a kind of an Ireland's Got Talent model, Get dancing in. I know they do dancing. Magic tricks. Some kid, doing impressions. Have a kid drink a pint of water while making a puppet's mouth scream, I think that'd be impressive. Or do you know what? Even just have a fucking kid drink a glass of water really fast, because we're all cheering for the sake of just cheering anyway. The audience are 90% of the kind of like, hey, is a pure participation. Go on, good on you trying. And that's something that I don't. We're not getting into that. I'm just saying. Look, early on in comedy, you're happy to get a kind of way, and then you're like, don't be giving me any more ways, all right? Did you like it or did you not like it? There was a guy, right? We played in the Battle of the Bands one time, and I was hosting it. And this guy, he was in a band, and he wore a cane mask, right? He wore a cane mask. He was in a metal band, and he wore a cane mask, right? And he got up on the mic before we started, and he was like, look, if you don't like it, don't clap. I don't want any of your pee. You know, and then straight into, I don't know, what was it? Probably fucking schism. You know? Look, don't clap if you don't like wearing a cane mask. 10-year-old boy. No, we probably have 14. Look, if you don't like it, don't clap. All right? Anyway, here's schism. Anyway, so look, we start with the late, all right? This, and it starts how it always starts. Kids being like, what? What is this? Hey. And this is where they're really overacting. This is where you should have a director being like, okay, yeah, we get that you're fascinated that you're in a world that's strange and different, but don't overdo it. You know what I mean? If you were actually surprised, you'd be scared. Be scared. Don't be curious. Don't be so fucking curious. So they're in a world. Anyway, there's kids waiting on the bus to get the bus to Oz, right? And I'm not talking about goddamn Schillinger and Beecher from the show Oz, although that would have been a fun theme. You know, Ryan comes out dressed as Adebisi with his little hat, and he's like, "Give me your. I just want some tits, McManus. I just want some tits." You know, have you seen Oz? It's good. Well, it's not actually good. It's as formulaic as the Late Late Show. It's literally as formulaic as the Late Late Show, except it's just really violent and brutal. But it's not good. I won't have anyone tell me Oz is good. It's shocking. It's not good. So they're getting on a Dublin bus to Oz, right, as kids, and they're kind of they've the color coordination of the characters of the Wizard of Oz. You've got a kind of Tin Man, you've got a lion, you've got a Dorothy, and whoever, dog. One of them probably dressed as a dog. I don't remember. Anyway, a bus shows up and it says Oz on it, right? But it's a Dublin bus. And let me tell you, pal, I'd be boarding the bus to Oz every time I get down that back and go. There's lads always getting the fucking bus to Oz whenever I'm on it, token away. Bus driver hitting that button. Dublin bus would like to remind passengers that you cannot smoke on Dublin bus. You can hear him tapping it from downstairs. Dublin bus would like to remind passengers there's no smoking. Here, I'm on the bus to Oz, pal. I'm not fucking putting this out. Oi, Tin Man, you've no heart. You know, lads will be seeing mad shit. But yeah, it is a Dublin bus to Oz, unfortunately. I try and avoid the Dublin. Ever since I got a bike, I have a little foldable bike, proper dad bike shit. Ever since I got that bike, I will cycle. I'd be cycling, you know, furthest I've cycled maybe Stony Bar, but I'm in Dublin 14. It's pretty far, you know. I'd be cycling out to, if we're ever in the Royal Oak, I'll bring my bike there. That's miles away as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? So I would do that over a Dublin bus. I wouldn't even board a Dublin bus to Pandora, you know. If Neytiri herself was bet into the driver's seat, hunched over, chewing on her knees because it's so small of a space, and she's like, "Come in, we're going to Pandora," I'd be like, "And a Dublin bus? A Dublin bus? No, thank you. No, thank you. And I'm so sorry to let you go, you know. I love you. Although I have my own Neytiri now. Well, she always was. Anyway, moving on. So one of the kids is a furry, has a little tail. Like I said, they're kind of representing the side of the furries. And then a little kind of a sharp, pointy featured man is driving the bus. Who is this? Is it a crescent moon? No, he's got little straw hair. It's Tubridy as a scarecrow, and he's got hair tousled like straw, with little straw, like he was rolling around intimately in the bales of hay with, I don't know, a book. Probably a book, knowing him. You know, no, Mr. Tubridy, you cannot return this book. I know what you do with these books. Mr. Tubridy, you cannot return this copy of the Kama Sutra to this Rathmines library. I know what you do. There's hay all over it, and the pages don't open. Anyway, there's a big song and dance. Oz is the theme, which I'm here for. It's old as shit. It's classic. There's no current IP that's going to make a wad of cash from this sponsorship. You know, it's not Frozen. You're not going to have a bunch of kids watching something and being like, I need to run to the Disney store now to get myself a Tin Man. You know what I mean? It's just classic IP. The Dorothy gaff looks great. It looks like kind of a smashed gaff. That's the kind of book stop spot. It's fun. You know, but when I see even the book stop spot and I see the band and I see the stage, and yes, they've changed it out, it just is, I'm already getting a bit nervous of how formulaic this is going to be. And I know there's things that you expect, and we'll get into them when we get into them. You know, the four-wheeled kids. You know, the kids who have four wheels. They come by. The bike kids are going to be coming by in a little bit. You know, it's going to ramp up in terms of the heartstring stories. You know, it's going to start off light. Tubridy's going to come out and do some puns based on the theme. I would love to see a complete revamp personally, but I'm too happy right now to really lay into it. I'm too happy in my life right now to lay into it. Anyway, big song and dance, yeah. The Munchkin kids are MVPs for me. They have little balding heads. They have makeup that makes them look kind of Max. What's his name? Max Headroom. You know those kind of weird kind of skin fake prosthetics. Like what's the android from Red Dwarf? They have that kind of vibe going. I'm here for it. It's cool. They're pumping and locking with sharp limbs. They're an absolute credit to the Spotlight Stage School, I have to say. Give these kids the spotlight because they'll know what to do with it. The crowd are popping. You think it's going to be a good show, right? There's even one lad. Oh my God, there's one lad who the Sun called, the Irish newspaper, the Sun called, crowds love, or the public love, the latest Late say it's the best in years, which I strongly disagree with. I think it's one of the worst I've seen in a long time. But anyway, I'm not going to dwell on that. And then it says, but they say it was ruined by one man whooping in the crowd. And I really want to meet this guy. He was like, yes. I'm actually jealous of him. I'm jealous of his boogie. Anyway, No Place Like Home, blah, 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 blah. Tubridy does a couple of puns. He comes out and he's like, I hope you're all blown away, he says, because of the hurricane. Hang on, I'm going to have a sip of my tea. He says, the Scarecrow was outstanding in his field. But I thought you were the Scarecrow. I thought you were actually the Scarecrow. And then he says, the Tin Man was foiled again, and then he went to Copperface Jacks. That just seems like there was two jokes there that you didn't really have, and you merged them together, which I'm here for. I'm here for me doing it to a bunch of punters and the workmans because I've rushed my set, but you got 3 million people watching. You know what I mean? You got 3 million people watching. Did anyone call Carl Spain? Did anybody pick up the phone and ask Carl Spain just to do a once-over on any of this, Anyway, onto the toys. Tubridy gets in a little UFO thing. It's a little kind of spinny thing that's like a four-wheel thing. I always think to myself, I save this for the parade later on, the four-wheel parade. And actually, that would have been fun. If he was sitting in this little UFO thing, if he was interviewing kids on the way, that would have been fun. He doesn't do that. Then he picks up a Velociraptor toy, right? A Velociraptor puppet. There's actually a puppet section here, which I was very happy with. Look at me. Fucking love puppets. You know how much I love puppets. I use them to get my son to do whatever he wants. I've told you time and time again. If my son is freaking out, he doesn't even want to put a sock on, and he's like, no, to put one sock on, I just throw the pirate puppet on my hand, and I'm like, do you want to put on your sock, me hearty? And he goes, yeah, I will. He completely drops the act, which is why I think he's bullshit half the time, right? Because he drops the act. He acts like, as soon as I put that hand puppet on, it's like I'm not even in the room. He's just talking directly to this. He doesn't even offer me the fucking courtesy of gently coming out of the previous emotion. He just drops it. It was a total act. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I'll put that sock on. And then what we do then, pirate? And I'm like, you fucking... Anyway, so I love puppets, and I love the power of puppets, right? So he takes out this Velociraptor puppet, and he goes, so this is a Velocir... what is it? Velocir... Whatever. It's a dinosaur puppet. And I'm like, do you actually not know what Velociraptor is? Probably the second most popular dinosaur of all time. You actually don't even know the fucking name of it. Don't be talking about dinosaurs on TV. You don't even know the name of it, right? Doesn't even know the name of this. Velociraptor. And then he goes, well, I think this one's a little bit sad because he just broke up with his Tyrannosaurus X. And I'm like, if he was in a relationship with a T-Rex, then he got away lucky with just a broken heart. Most phenomenal. The king of beasts. Are you joking me? Lucky thing, right? Getting away. And then he takes out a Coco Melon toy, which I don't know if you got kids and you showed them Coco Melon. But for me, Coco Melon, I don't like. I read a thing about Coco Melon, right? The show, this kid, you've probably seen it. This uncanny valley fucking kid and family, and they get big eyes, and they move really slow and weird, and there's a weird slow, but also sped up frame rate. I read a thing about it, and it's like crack for kids. The dopamine in these kids. If you can get a kid onto anything other than Coco Melon, oh my God. Anything we show my son, he can talk about. Being like, there's a dog, there's a cat, whatever. You show him Coco Melon. It's like when I turn it off, it's like he's been staring at a fucking hypnotic frog for the last hour, whatever, And I'm like, what did you see? And he goes, I don't remember. Daddy, I don't remember. And where'd you get that voice? Oh, no. Anyway, so he picks up a Coco Melon toy, Ryan does, and a Bluey doll. Love Bluey. I'll talk about more of that a different day, not right now. And then he presses the sound boxes on them and he holds them up to his ears. And he's trying to do this kind of bit where it's kind of like, oh, God, can you know the sound of all those repetitive noises that you hear on Christmas Day from all these toys? And he's trying to recreate that kind of scene. But you can't hear them. You can't hear the sound boxes. They're not close enough to the microphone. And then he's also kind of like, he's acting like he's like, oh, like he's freaking out. And someone wrote that down. I was just thinking that. Someone wrote that down. That joke, someone wrote that down. And then he was like, and then he could put them up to his head and be like, like afraid of them, Like that would be, I don't know if if any marketeers listen to that, but do you ever have something, do you ever like be in a pitch meeting for something and someone pitches something and it's something like that, they're a bit hungover, they haven't had their Barocca, and like, I was thinking maybe you pick some of the toys and you're kind of like, I'm a bit afraid of them. And one of those kind of suggestions that doesn't even get the courtesy of like, okay, it's just kind of like, and then literally people move on, and that person is so hungover, they're like, am I actually a ghost? Am I actually a ghost? Was that such a bad suggestion that I'm actually a ghost? That I died? Or was I lucky enough to die before I gave that shite suggestion here at that pitch meeting? Because no one responded to me. Or do you ever send like a WhatsApp? I sent a WhatsApp to my friends and I'm like, all right, so guys, when are we going to go see Avatar? I have these dates. I even like was going to like, and then no one responded. And I was like, fuck that. I'm going to see Avatar on my own. I'm going to see Avatar 2 on my own, right? No one responded because it was in the middle of another conversation, but it was one of those, you ever have that on WhatsApp? You put one little comment up, and then the conversation moves on quickly and you think to yourself, oh, did they actually see that? Have I died? Am I dead? You have that split second thing. Am I dead? Is this a dream? Well, that is the sort of response that this stupid joke deserved, that they forced the national broadcaster Ryan Tubridy to do in front of 3 million people. It's a bad joke. Anyway, then the band are dressed as leprechauns, which I thought was fucking shit. I know they're going for a kind of Emerald City thing, but they look like they just rocked up, dropped a dime in fucking carols. Not good enough, imho. And then they play with a stretchy Jabba the Hutt. That's fun. I wouldn't mind having that. Although I tell you this, I'm reluctant to mess with any of the stretchies. Armstrong, any of them, because we had a Stretch Armstrong, and they have this kind of powder on it, and we wore the arse off this Stretch Armstrong, me and my brother. Like we'd be like almost like jumping down the stairs, bungee jumping, with this thing, right? And it got to the point where it was stretching so much that the dust was kind of coming off it, and we rubbed it in our eyes, and our eyes were just fucking stinging for weeks. Me and Andy with like big red eyes, just stretching this thing, hooked on it, So I'm very reluctant. Maybe there's a different chemical compound in those things, but I'm very reluctant to give my young fella a stretchy anything, And there's also like, you be playing with a Stretch Armstrong and you're having a great time, and then all of a sudden there's a little hole in it and it starts secreting goo. And this thing that was like this toy who you be like putting in your mouth and like fucking around with, as soon as your parents see the goo coming out, they're like, oh, poison, it's poison now. We were having a good thing, now it's poison. Now take it away. The thing is dead. God is dead. Poison, and it's like, how did this, it's just mad as a child where you're like, how did it go from something so fun and carefree to something that'll kill me? It's mad. It's like that pufferfish that you get at sushi that can kill you. Simpsons trivia, what's that called? Simpsons trivia quiz. What is the name of the pufferfish that Homer eats and believes he only has a few days left to live? There's a Simpsons trivia quiz. I don't remember personally. Anyway, then we're on to a child. Lucy comes out. She's in a unicorn scooter. To girls just want to have fun. This is going to be a bit of crack now. She's coming out on the scooter. Made a great entrance. She's got 3 brothers and one on the way for Christmas. She's from Galway. One on the way for Christmas. She says her brothers are loud, but she still loves them. Well, I tell you, Lucy, can I just say, right? Every bird that I've known that has had brothers, they're actually fucking good chat. You know what I mean? They do good chat. They can give it as well as they can take it, you know what I mean, in terms of like slagging matches and all. So you'll have your pick of the blokes, Lucy. You'll have your pick of the fucking blokes now because you'll be such good chat. I have to say that now. And then she says, my mammy's in hospital now, and you hear a bit of from the audience, right? But then Ryan is very fucking quick to be able to say, yeah, but it's nothing bad. Yeah, but it's nothing bad. Like she's just because she's giving birth, and she'll be back soon. Like Ryan's very quick to be like, no, it's not one of them ones now. The heartstrings, put them back in your pocket, and you can take them out in part 3 or 4. So they play with an ice cream set. She's totally mature about it. Personally, she's got a Play-Doh ice cream set. She's pulling the arm down of the thing. It's secreting Play-Doh in a kind of creamy kind of way. Ryan Tubridy looks like it's shit. He's like, oh, he's pulling a face as if it's shit. you know? We thought that was very inappropriate. This child is mature enough to be able to make an ice cream, and Tubbs is like, it's kind of like shit. Lucy, is it just me, or is this plate will look a bit like shit coming out of your fucking butt? Is it? This poop? Anyway, she wants to be a singing vet, which is good. And that's the kind of thing that captures the hearts. It kind of captures the, it's kind of like, I want to be two things. I want to be a vet and I want to be a singer. I'm going to be a singing vet. That's the kind of thing that makes you remember what it's like to be a child, of how exciting it is, of how, the endless possibilities, So I liked that. I didn't really have a bit on that. I just think it's mad. Singing vet, fucking juggling cop, It's great. I love it. She sings a bit of Taylor Swift, and you know what? It is good because she's 5. Hey! Anyway, I give her 2.5 stars. I'm not pulling any punches here, right? She sings a bit of Taylor Swift. She's 2.5 stars. It's fine. It's a nice start. Singing vet, a bit of fun. She's wearing a coat, singing. Great. Here for it. I also have the stamina for it. Do you know what I mean? Like, Tubbs has come out. He's given the puns. He's the opening act, right? He's the MC. And then, the song was kind of the opening act. And then you have Tubbs being the MC, and then you're bringing on the first act. So you can tolerate someone who hasn't quite figured out their first 5 minutes yet. You know what I mean? Because you have the energy for it. You couldn't be putting this person in as a closer because you'd be laughed out, and you'd need someone who has serious fucking chops to get you back. You know what I mean? So you can tolerate it now. Then you got Billy Brady. He's wearing a mullah. This chap's rocking a mullah. And let me tell you, millennials, and all you young hot bloke millennials who listen to this podcast, I know you're rocking your mullet right now. I know there's someone right now who's listening to this rocking the mullet, and you've no idea about the history of the mullet, right? This kid knows everything. He says it's the fucking business up the front, party in the back. This is a young fella who knows the ethos of the mullet better than any of you Zoomers. I don't care how jacked you are and how hot you are and how much you want to put my head on your chest because you're so big, right? People who are listening to this. But he knows the ethos of the mullet. But it looks shocking. It looks pretty bad. And unfortunately, he throws his barber under the bus, Denise, in Kilcullen. Yeah, Denise cuts my hair. She's a barber. Denise is now packing away her bits. She's been sacked from this barber's in Kilcullen. She's putting her, whatever it is, Far Side or whatever it is. What's the name of the homicide? The stuff you put all the combs in. Anyway, so then Ryan says, what do you like about Kilcullen so much? And he goes, the Centra. I like the pasta in the Centra. And you know what? I love it. And it's actually a good recommendation. I might check it out if I'm in Kilcullen. Check out the pasta. And Centra, if you're listening to this, send this cunt a fucking load of pasta, please. Okay? That's how you can get ahead in life. Send this kid a load of pasta. He's a testament to Fáilte Ireland, to say. I'll be avoiding Denise's barbers like the plague, but I'll be going straight into the Kilcullen Centre to get myself some pasta. Now, the unfortunate thing about Billy is ACAB, bro, ACAB. All cops are Billies because Billy wants to become a Garda Síochána. The unfortunate thing is, Ryan's like, why do you want to become a guard? And he goes, I want to arrest people. And I'm like, here we go. Here we fucking go. He's in it for the power, right? If there's an application form for being a guard, I honestly think that the first question should be, very casually, what's your name? Great. What's your age? 23 and a half, right? Murta, 23 and a half. And then it says, do you want power? And there's only a yes tick, right? Because I'll leave it blank if there's a no. It'll also show intelligence, right? And if they tick that yes, then you need to bin that application. Do you know what I mean? You need to bin that application if they're not in it for the community, And this kid is not in it for the community. This kid actually reminds me of the guard who was so fucking high on his own power that he interrupted me. I've talked about this many times. When I was midstream of a piss on a bin, to be fair to me, in Temple Bar. And as soon as the fucking piss hit the cobblestone, there was someone behind me saying, excuse me, what are you doing? And trying to embarrass me. Sorry, I'm National Treasure Tony Cantwell here. And this is before I was National Treasure. This is before I had my blue tick on Instagram. Right? This is before I had my blue tick on Instagram. So you probably didn't know, I need to figure out a way of actually wearing that as a badge. I'll need to get my blue tick made as a badge. So people, don't give me shit in real life, But he says, excuse me, what are you doing there? And, obviously I'm like, what does it look like I'm fucking doing? And then I've talked about this time and time again, and he made me feel this small, and you can't see right now, but my finger and my index finger and my thumb are millimeters apart. He made me feel this small, right? Because what was I going to do? I kept pissing. And it's not like I can stop pissing. He was making me continue the crime for his own entertainment, And it's like, do you know what? If everyone pisses here, maybe put a fucking Jacks here, bro. Maybe all the tax that I'm paying on the 10 pints I've had, probably about 30 quid tax. If you're getting 3 quid, hey government, if you're getting 3 quid from every pint that I'm necking, how about that 30 quid goes to a fucking Jacks here rather than the power hungry clown here? And I like guards, some guards. I've met nice guards. I'll say that. I don't mind guards. Anyway, this kid sounds like he's in it for the wrong reasons. So I give him 2 stars. Actually, do you know what? I give him 1. No, I did like the recommendation about the pasta. I'll give him 1.5 stars. You're getting a half star for the recommendation, but let me tell you something, Billy Brady. That pasta better be on fucking Rosa Madre fucking levels to be getting that half star from me. Anyway, then Ryan fucks a load of Jacob's biscuits at the crowd. I hate the USA box. Of all the biscuit boxes, USA is probably one of the worst, Imho. I don't like it, but they love it, and there's a hamper for everyone. I really want a box of biscuits, but again, I've said this before, you can't just go in and buy yourself a tin of biscuits. Like, I'm thinking to myself, my ma always had, like, celebrations and miniature heroes and biscuits around. Where did she get them? Like, did someone get her them, or did she buy them? Because you don't buy yourself those. You buy them and then give them as gifts. I can't be buying myself a tin of biscuits. But I want them now. I don't want them when I will be giving them. If I wait to be giving them, it's going to be the fucking 26th of December when I get all that shite. And I kind of want it now. So, look, if anyone who knows me is getting me a tin of biscuits, can you please just get them for me now? Okay? I don't want to be waiting until the 24th when I'm full of fucking grease and I'm like, new me, new year, new me, right? I want them now, okay? I want the biscuits now. That's the kind of mood I'm in, all right? Anyway, they're loving having a load of biscuits fucked to them. They get a Jacob's biscuit hamper for everyone in the audience, which is kind of what everyone gets anyway every year, even if you're not on the Late Late, just by living in Ireland. You get one. So then you get little TikTok dancing kids. It's about damn time. But unfortunately, not one of the kids goes, in a minute, I'm going to need a sentimental man or woman to bump me up. You don't get any of that. But what you do get is some adorable kids singing and dancing on their awards in Temple Street. And I'm fucking here for these kids. And God, when they brought in this whole toy show TikTok thing, it was all these kids, the first year being a dad, and it's COVID year. And no audience, and it's all these kids dancing, and you know that these kids have probably separated from their larger families. They're probably just have one carer with a mask who has to be there, and they're dancing. So I do like this when they bring out this whole toy show talk thing, and they get kids with disabilities to come on and have, because I well up when I think of some kid who has some sort of disability, some sort of affliction, and they see someone else and they get excited and they're like, oh, that's me, someone like me. Oh, God! So I love that. I love giving more kids that kind of spotlight. Unlike some of this, pardon the pun, some of the kids at the Spotlight Stage School who don't deserve it. Anyway, then you have Caelan Green from East Wall. He's a Liverpool fan, and he's also a little stunner, a little heartthrob, this young fella. And he's got the trifecta. He's a Liverpool fan, he's got stunning long hair, and he loves Lego. I mean, put that on your Tinder profile, Caelan, and you'll be beating them away with a stick, whoever you like. He also says, I'll go swimming with my nana, and then when we finish, we get a lotto so we can hopefully one day buy a camper van. Well, if that doesn't sound like the greatest flick I've ever heard in my life, if that doesn't sound like, it's young fellas from East Wall, and it, like, screenwriters spend years trying to figure out how to dilute exposition to someone's life story into a sentence like that. I go swimming with me nana, and then when we're finished, she gets the lotto, so hopefully one day we can get a camper van. Like, that perfect line tells me everything I need to know about Caelan Green. Give him everything. He loves Liverpool, and he says, and he knows his stuff as well. He's quite eloquent. He goes, do you know what other teams? Not all. Some of the players are good. I found with Liverpool, all the players are good, and this guy knows his stuff. Terry thinks this. He's like, oh, he definitely has had media training. And then he plays a little game with Ryan where he's kicking a ball into the net, and Ryan is like blindfolding him, whatever, and he's like, how well do you think you're going to do? And Caitlin's like, well, I think I'm going to do pretty well because out of how good you are, I think you're 0 out of 500. I think you're 0 out of 500. Anyway, they blindfold him. So, and then I was thinking, do you know what would be funny is that everyone runs away. They blindfold him, then everyone runs away. I thought that'd be funny. They didn't do that. Instead, what they do is they replace Ryan in the goal with Kevin Kelleher. Kevin Kelleher, Liverpool's number one. He was actually, I'm a bit pally with. He's actually one of my very good friends on Instagram. Liverpool goalkeeper Kevin Kelleher, Irish goalkeeper Kevin Kelleher. He's great. He's brilliant. And he's my best friend. We chat on Instagram all the time. And the reaction is priceless. Caelan can't believe what he's seen. He takes off. He sees Kevin Kelleher. He runs and hugs him in that kind of way where he can tell his legs have just gone to jelly. And he needs to use this hug to see if what he's seeing in front of him is real. He's fantasized about this. He wraps his arms around him. And he almost to be like, is this real? Is this the real guy? You know? Hopefully I'll get a reaction like that sometime when I go on as Bloon. He gets a jersey signed by every Liverpool player and a field trip to Anfield. 4 stars. 4 stars. Hey, you can call this kid a pizza because he's a 4-star in my eyes. Speaking of 4 stars... next up, you have 4 stars sitting on one piano. 4 kids absolutely laying into this piano. There's four kids, right? Now, they're Asian kids, right? And I'm here for that. I feel like when we see Asian kid playing the piano, it's like, okay, I'm glad somebody made the effort. I'm glad because you know it's going to be good, right? With the greatest respect. God forbid. God forbid being a young Asian kid learning the piano because the bar is so high. I've never seen a bad Asian kid on the piano, okay? So it's unfortunate. If you're like a little kid, you know, of Asian descent, and, you know, you just want to noodle around with the piano, you know, and you're just trying to go that... If you're fucking around with that shit, I'm sorry, you have to quit because your reputation... your racial stereotype is immaculate, okay? So unfortunately, if you got an Asian kid and they're just noodling around, you might need to find them something else. Anyway, these kids are amazing. 4 stars on one piano. They absolutely, there was like smoke pluming from the piano after they were done. And they didn't get invited over to the couch. Carson didn't invite him over for panel after the show. That's how it would happen on the Johnny Carson show. They'd invite him over on the panel to chat after a particularly good set. But that doesn't happen here. Ryan doesn't even talk about them. All right. Okay, I've been talking for a while, and I told Terry I'd only be 45 minutes. Okay. Okay. All right, I'm going to steam through this. So Ryan does a bit of airplane content. They bring on Aaron Gibbons, who runs out and gives Ryan a big hug. Not in the same way that Caelan hugged Kevin, but in a, you know, kind of just, oh yeah, I hug everyone. I'm a bit touchy-feely. Now, they do a kind of TSA thing where they're putting, not TSA, customs thing where they're bringing a bag through check or whatever like that. Ryan, again, pretends that he's ashamed of the pink bag that he has, which I don't like. I don't like how he shames pink. I have my young fella head to toe in pink, and I have a young one. Do you say young one? Young fella. Young one. What do you say? Do you say young one? I need to wrap my head around this. Colloquial Dublin slang. About my daughter. What's the colloquial Dublin slang? Guys, about in there. We're on spin about it. What's the colloquial Dublin slang for your daughter? I'm not putting in the song there. Okay, so look, so I don't like how he didn't like the pink bag, but maybe kids find that funny. I think kids do find that funny, but I think it's low-hanging fruit. Anyway, they get in a flight. They do a whole flight thing. They have a made plane that they're moving around. The cameraman is shaking it. There's sound effects. They're wearing aviators and they're wearing hats. Even the young fella, little Aaron Gibbons, he gets on the intercom and he goes, if you want some food, you have to pay for it. It was really good. I honestly have to say, maybe the best set piece in toy show history, Imho. I thought it was great. Or not even maybe the best, but not an ounce of fat on it. I thought it was perfect. More stuff like this. Less dressing kids up against their will. Or in a funny kind of, let's make a... Spills you think are going to be funny, and they're not funny because they never spill the right way. Unless Ryan spills it on himself. Okay, we're going to make a pizza, and here's all the flour. Unless he dunks it on his head, it's not going to be funny. Okay? Like, that's why slime happens on children's TV from the top down. Because messes are only funny when you're fucking doused in it. Okay, so those whole messy set pieces, less of that, more let's reenact getting on a flight. I thought it was great. Anyway, this young fella gets a tour of the airport, which he was very happy with. I just hope those fucking pink bibs in Dublin Airport don't give him any fucking slack. Those pink bibs. Excuse me, where are you going? Excuse me, respect the bib, okay? You're walking the wrong way. I'm a pink bib in Dublin Airport. You're going the wrong way. And you see these, do you know what I find funny? When you see the really fucking tough guys who are working there in Dublin Airport wearing a little pink bib. Oh, yeah. Excuse me, where do you think you're going? Like, look, bro, I don't care if you got a fucking knife in your back pocket. You're wearing a pink bib, bro. I'm going to keep walking the wrong way. I'm going to keep walking the wrong way. I know they're lovely, but someone did give me a bit of lip one time when I had to go in about something. I left something on a flight and then someone found it for me and I had to go in not the traditional way. Because that's the thing in Dublin Airport. It's just a fucking maze. And the whole thing they want is just people walking the right way. And if you go the wrong way, tisk, tisk, tisk. So I was walking the wrong way into a room I wasn't supposed to go in and someone gave me a bit of lip. And this is before I had my blue tick. Anyway, then you have for everyone in the audience, a 200 quid voucher from Fáilte Ireland. Don't we pay for Fáilte Ireland? Isn't that? Haven't we just paid our tax? Like, I just paid my tax, and then all these fucking rosy cheeked Santa hat wearing Clims in the crowd are getting 200 quid of my money. I wasn't very happy with that, but I'm on cloud nine now with my baby, so I don't really mind. But still, I wouldn't mind having that in the back pocket. Anyway, then Sive comes out. And Sive has a brace. She wears like a body brace. And so she kind of like turns her body with her neck. You know, she can't really bend over properly, she was saying. And what a fucking ray of sunshine was Sive. Brace yourself for your hearts to be melted because she's fucking great chat. She's impromptu. She doesn't have the kind of lines rehearsed. You know what I mean? She just knows her shit. She tells a couple of jokes. She says, people in Dubai don't like the Flintstones, but the Abu Dhabis do. Great. You know what I mean? Although, why the fuck does she know what a Flintstone is? There's probably some parent there being, okay, so this is a Flintstone, and this is what a Flintstone is, and one of the Flintstones says this thing, and that's why this joke's funny. You know? They don't give a shit about the Flintstones, you know? But anyway, the audience liked that. She goes, why do nurses use red crayons? To draw blood. And I'm like, that's so sweet, because she probably had to give a lot of her blood. She probably had to, you know, have her blood tested for things. I don't know what happens when you have a brace. Then she tells stories about all her friends in the hospital, how she got a water gun from one of the nurses and sprayed the nurse. And then her friends from the ward. No, sorry. Firstly, then she sings a song called Raining Rainbows. Okay? And she's not a trained performer, and she's great. She puts the Spotlight Stage School. Hey, how about we turn off the spotlight in Spotlight Stage School and give people like Sive the spotlight? I thought she was bloody brilliant. But, like, she's not obviously professional, but you're willing to be like, that's great. I'm willing to hear those kind of notes from a girl, you know? From a girl who has written this song herself and is brave enough to fucking go on the Late Late. And also just talk about how there's kids who are sick and there's kids who are on wards. And she's properly doing it for them, you know? And she talks about her friends who were on the ward, Ellie Mae and Jack and Ollie. And then guess what? Ellie Mae, Jack and Ollie come out. And I think this is what she said. But she goes to Jack. Jack is a little boy, right? A little 5 or 6 year old or whatever. And she just looks at Jack and she goes, Jack, your hair! Because he had a full head of hair. And I'm just assuming maybe there was, so, you know, Jack maybe had chemo before then. Ugh! And she's, Jack, your hair. Hey, Hollywood screenwriters, get that on a fucking line in a script. That's everything you need to know about what these kids went through. And it's absolutely gorgeous. And they all get sent to Disneyland Paris for 5 days. And Jack is in so disbelief that he goes, actually, I'm going when I'm 12. Are you excited, Jack? I'm actually going to go when I'm 12, he says. You know? And if that was Pat Kenny sitting on the couch next to Jack, he would have been, okay, there you are, and ripped up the tickets. That's how spiteful he is. But Ryan actually knows what a child is. So he's like, oh, Jack, well, look, you go at your own pace, bud. You know? And also, do you know what? You got a fucking second lease on life? Absolutely, Bean. Yeah, I'll get around to it. I'm too busy smelling the fucking roses over here, Ryan. I'm loving life. And then meanwhile, they're literally getting a flight to Disneyland for 5 days, the whole lot of them. And I was just thinking, this kid who loves planes is probably just staring on in disbelief. Being like, what, you're sending me to fucking Dublin Airport? And these guys are getting on a plane? Then you have Jeremiah, so I will give, kid who loves Have I been ranking these kids? Caelan Green is 4 stars. The kids who play the piano, I give them 5 stars. Aaron Gibbons, I give 3.5 stars. No, I give him 4 stars. Sive and everyone else, I give 3.5 stars. There was something missing. I can't quite put my finger on it. Jeremiah and Jane come out. They love superheroes and dress as superheroes. Look, you can call these kids Captain America's Shield. They love superheroes. Well, you can call these kids Captain America's Shield because there's 1 star between them. 1 star between them. I was very unimpressed. And again, if someone said that about my kid, I would fucking flay them alive. But I have to say, these kids do an awful rendition of We Don't Talk About Bruno. And look, if you're the parents of these kids, I know I don't want to antagonize you, but I just don't think anyone can stand by their rendition of We Don't Talk About Bruno. It was out of sync. It was out of time. It was out of pitch. It was... And look, those kids who played the piano took as much time as these kids singing We Don't Talk About Bruno, and they stole the show. 5 minutes of my time is still 5 minutes of my time. I know people think because they're on the panel or because they're being interviewed by Ryan and there's a microphone there that, oh, well, this can go a little bit haywire. Right? If it's on the stage and there's no Ryan and the lights are down and the music's playing, or if the lights are up and Ryan's interviewing, it's still 5 minutes of my time. My time. Not my time. Not my time. Not my time. Okay? So I think the same level, a minute is still a minute and it needs to be respected. These kids robbed me of 5 minutes of my life. I could have been playing Marvel Snap. Anyway, then Ryan starts singing, I wrote down here, they're not even sick, these kids, 1 star. Anyway, moving on. Not that I didn't want them to be sick, do you know what I mean? But I'm just saying they don't get a pass by any means. You know what I mean? Then Ryan sings a rendition of Let It Snow. And again, I wrote here, Ryan can sing, but should he? Which is a question we should all be asking ourselves. But before you knew what you had, you packaged it, you slapped it on a lunchbox, and you're selling it. You're selling it. And I just want to ask, just because you could doesn't mean you should. I can't believe it. The only one defending me is the bloodthirsty lawyer. So just because he could, does it mean that he should? No. So then we move on to Katrina. Katrina comes out. Katrina is, I talked about, we watched Love on the Spectrum. I haven't actually watched more than the first season, and I really enjoyed it. I should watch it again. And it came up on that there's so few, not so few, but autism is not recognizable in girls as quick as it is in boys. And girls are whatever, what's the word? Fucking diagnosed as autistic much later on in life. And Katrina is one of those, and she's really excited. She loves Harry Potter, and she literally says, she's like, I have an ability with autism. It's beautiful. It's a very beautiful, encouraging thing. She's like, it's not a superpower, but it is an ability. And it's nice, and she's properly going out there flying the flag. And you know what as well, right? This is just a little side note. I have a daughter right now. Right? And it hasn't necessarily it's not like, oh, sorry, I actually know women. Sorry, I have a daughter, okay? So of course I respect women, I've always respected women. I've always been a feminist, okay? But I did also notice it with, this probably is not the place to be talking about this right now, but whatever. I did notice it with Terry's pregnancy, that, trying to get more information about it and trying to get it, the information about giving birth and pregnancy is not as public as it would be if there was men. And this is not fucking rocket science. This has been said time and time again to anyone. It's actually hard to get the truth about the recovery of giving birth. And a lot of women feel like they might be kind of ruffling feathers by even talking candidly about their labor or about their giving birth and their pregnancy, about the recovery. That all, and some people, it can sometimes lead to massive issues after you've given birth if you haven't seen a physio after. Most women, not every woman is recommended to see a physio or anything like that after giving birth. And you have to actually educate yourself about these things. I'm not telling anyone they have to educate, but you actually have to go out of your way to even get the information about this. So it's no wonder that so many people have massive issues after giving birth, okay? But then also, right, I'm trying to wrap my head around cleaning a vagina for the first time, right? And especially when you have a baby does their first poo, right? There's a point to this, okay? There's a point to this, and it's that black fucking tar. And I'm trying to clean this, and I know I know how to clean around a penis, right? I don't know how to clean around a vagina, and I couldn't find online like an instructional video to do that, right? I couldn't find that, and I know it's because that's a vagina. I know that there's probably some fucking reason that I can't see how to clean a vagina because people are afraid or ashamed or weirded out by vaginas because of the fucking patriarchy. I know for a fucking fact that I did a worse job cleaning her after her first nappy because of the fucking patriarchy not showing me how to clean a fucking vagina properly. Just show it to me. We're not being weird about this. We're all grown-ups. It isn't a fucking, it's just how these things are viewed. A penis is seen everywhere. It's seen on a fucking fountain. It's seen on a little piddling boy. A little cherub, a little fountain, willies everywhere. Vagina. Like, I'd never even fucking seen it. I'm not saying they should be everywhere, but we should just all be a little bit fucking chill. There's girls and there's boys. This is not the last little fucking mini baby feminist rant you've heard from me. I promise you that. And it's the same kind of negligence with female medicine, that it's not diagnosed. It's this, not negligence, but it's just not broadcast. It's harder to find. And if things are harder to find, then things go undiagnosed and they're harder to diagnose. And then, so I didn't have a fucking clue. So this is my little segue about autism and little vaginas. And she's great, Katrina. She gets a little message from Emma Watson, which she really likes, but I think Emma Watson should have been there. Shame on you, Emma Watson. You'll fucking go to Amnesty over Atten. You'll go to Amnesty over someone saying boo to a goose, but you won't come here for this girl. I know. It was nice of her to send a message. And then you have Cuckoo, who may be the star of the show. Cuckoo is all these 14, 15 kids. They're grandkids. They're all cousins, right? And they were all taught trad instruments from their granny Cuckoo, which is cute. Right? And so then Cuckoo comes out, and she's a lovely old woman, and they play a song. They play a lovely trad song. Someone even does a bit of dancing, and it's lovely. But I'll tell you, if that was my nana, and they were like, all right, here's all the grandkids, here's all the Catwells, okay, show us what your nana taught you, it would be us all at the same time putting a big roast in the microwave and putting it on for 16 minutes. Fucking nuking the roast. That's all we do. There you are. That's what my nana taught me. But I know, I thought it was funny. Cuckoo, her name is Cuckoo, right? Not because, as I found out, she used to let her husband sleep with other women. Cuckoo. It's actually because her one of the kids used to call her that, which is cute. Then you have Anastasia and Molly. One's from the Ukraine, one's not. And, because they're white, you can't tell. No, they're lovely, and they're really nice. They're good friends. They're very good friends. And it's very sweet. It's very sweet to see a nice, positive representation of immigration. Isn't that nice that someone now has a new friend? Isn't that nice? East Wall, the people of East Wall. Caelan Green's granny, who was trying to get that camper van so she can move out of East Wall. No, they should have been told. They should have been told. Everyone should be told. Anyway, moving on. So then she says, Molly speaks a bit of Ukrainian, and then Anastasia says, Nolikona ditch, and it's beautiful, and it's sweet, and then Molly's brother comes out, and he looks like Buzz from Home Alone, which I thought was cool. I wouldn't let you sleep in my room if you were growing on my ass. I wouldn't let you sleep in my room if you were coming from Odessa. But he does. That's the difference. He does. He would let her sleep in his room if she was coming from Odessa, and she did. Then you have Mason, who's from So I give Anastasia and Molly 2 stars. And I give Cuckoo's family 3.5 stars. Then you have Mason from Cavan. Mason is called Mason because his father is a stonemason, which I thought was fun. I thought, that'd be like me calling my son Gas Cunt Lick Out Master. Come here, Gas Cunt. This is Gas Cunt Lick Out Master. Would you stop it, Gas Cunt Lick Out Master? Anyway, then they make a set out of they make a Titanic out of Lego, which I thought was fun. And I thought, oh my god, here's going to come James Cameron. You can't get him off the fucking TV promoting Avatar, The Way of Water. But he doesn't come out. And then weirdly, maybe I looked down or I didn't see this, but Ryan goes blank a little bit. And then he goes, well, you know, you're the king. You're from Cavan. And I think you are the king of Cavan. And he starts dressing him up as a king. And there was a Titanic kind of stage kind of thing to stand on that I kind of assumed he was going to stand on and go, I'm the king of the world. But that didn't happen, I don't think. Maybe I'm misremembering it. And then he goes, well, I think you're from Cavan and you're the king of Cavan. I think he pulled a segue out of his arse and it wasn't very good. And Fatty Burke was on the WhatsApp saying, he's no fucking king of mine. And I thought, you know, it's fair, you know what I mean? He was really dressed as like King George. Not even King Charles, King George. Anyway, then he starts waving the flag. All the kids come through. It's fine. There's no fancy car. I think this would have been fun to do something a little bit different. Yeah, Mason's getting a 1-star from me. And that's not his, yeah, but I just didn't get much from him. Yeah, he likes Titanic. Yeah, nice. Whatever. Stop wasting my time. 1 star. Then I wrote here, Mark kills it on the drums. I'm bored of this shite. I don't even know what that means. And then you got Ruby Burke. Then you got Defying Gravity. And then Terry, you know, we were just kind of saying, look, that's a hard song for anyone to sing. Like, can you not even get, like, Hey Jude? Can you have someone sing, you know, you're the one that I want. You are the one I want. Ooh, 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 honey. If you're going to give someone a Broadway tune. Idina Menzel, on a good day, can't do Defying Gravity. So it's a lot for a kid to be doing. Is all I'll say on that. Then you have Ruby Burke. She's got like a furry Barbie and van life Barbie. Hashtag van life Barbie. She paints Ryan a jelly bean thing. 1 star. Then you have the library section. The Munchkin kid who's stamping the books is in character the whole time. A bit too antagonistic for improv, I'd say. You know, if I was an improv teacher, I'd be like, okay, well, look, this is a bit too confrontational and a bit too transactional that I don't know if we're going to find any good scene here. You know, I'd probably say that. Then you have a little daughter. See here, my mind's working now. You have a little girl called Meadow, and she sings Pegin Later More. Oh, dan gar me, she Pegin Later More. And she sings it so much. And the audience, who are clearly quite pissed right now, because it's towards the end of the night, they're like, oh, garum, garum, me. And they're clapping her off the fucking planet, you know. Whatever. Then you have Kalen Jones. He's like our little Walmart kid. Our own little Walmart Ramsey, whatever his name is, kid. You know, the yodeling kid. So he's good. He doesn't know what to do with his hands, though. I got really bored here at the end. Yeah, and I just didn't write any notes here. I think I liked him, though. I think he was good. I give him 1 star, though, because I can't remember. Sorry, Kalen. I give all the library kids 1 star. Then you have Emmy. And she's a girl who loves comedy and football. And she's standing in front of a brick wall with a microphone. But then she goes over, starts playing with a selfie camera. And I'm like, oh no, is she not going to do a bit of stand-up, right? But she does. And she's great. And Ryan is giving it gusto. The audience need to be fucking ashamed of themselves for not laughing at this little girl's jokes. She comes out, she wants to be a stand-up. She really wants to be a stand-up. And will you hear this? Since then, Enya Martin, right, got on the radio with her and asked Emmy if she would like to be the opening act at our Vicar Street shows. Fucking shame on RTE for not getting any comedian to offer that, and that someone who's watching at home has to do the work. And she was delighted. She's going to be opening at Vicar Street for Enya Martin. And I guarantee that crowd is going to do a much fucking better job than this Late Late crowd. And she had great patter. She had great timing. They were good jokes. They had good personality before they got to the joke. You know, she was painting a whole picture of her whole life. She had more kind of like presence in the first lead up to the joke than you'd see some people doing the 5 minute at the Halfpenny Bridge Inn. You know, I was very impressed with her. I think Cherry Comedy might be reaching out as well if she'd like to do a spot. And like, guys, fucking laugh, you clowns. If you have the ability to go for someone singing Pegin Later More, you have the ability to go ha 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 at the end of when the person has stopped talking. If you don't find it funny, just laugh when they stop talking. Are you serious? You need fucking read a book on how to be a fucking human. Late audience. Late audience, I give you -1 star. And I give Emmy a whopping 3.5 stars. Then Ryan, she also loves football. Actually, yeah, sorry, this was the thing. This is why they didn't bring out a comedian, because she actually loves football. Yeah, okay, sorry, not shame on you, because I forgot about this. She loves football, and so they bring out the fucking Irish squad. The real Irish squad. The fucking ladies' Irish squad. The successful Irish squad, right? With the greatest respect, Keevan. I love you. Keevan Gallagher. But they bring out the good squad. And the ladies of Ireland. And in a really awkward way, she's like, oh, well, here's 2 of the players. And then here's 2 of the players. And then here's 2 of the players. And bring them all out from different spots. I'm liking the fact that Ryan is educating us all about who the names of all the players. I know we should go out of our way to know. You know, we should know these ladies. I was going to say inside and out, but Jesus, oh my God, pardon. I don't mean that intimately. I mean, we should know their names, because we're going to be cheering on. Next year is World Cup year, as far as I'm concerned. Fuck this one. And we better be on it. We're going to be on it, right? We're all going to be we're going to Australia. Anyway, then they line up, and Ryan goes to each one of them. And these are fucking sports people, right? These are sports people. They're not used to, like, being on like talk shows and, you know, having the small talk and all that kind of stuff. So he kind of jumps by each one of them and he goes, you're going to Oz, and 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 you're going to Oz, to like 11 of them. And then eventually goes to Emmy, and you're also going to Oz, Australia, because you're going to go to the World Cup and you're going to go to all the Ireland matches. And what a gift that is. Emmy is absolutely delighted. And then they Singing Stars, I wrote down. I don't remember what song it was. Then I wrote Shite Show at the end. I didn't think it was great. And I give Emmy 3.5 stars, yeah. And a boola bus to the Collini of Kish, the Kish fella Collini, for coming on board. That was a big get, you know. But generally, I would say, apart from Keevan and those ladies, I think they could have done a little. I think they could have done a little bit more. You know, they had the edge on video, giving a kid a guitar, one of his own guitars before. Do you know what I mean? You know, bring back the DJ kids from the one Sonic gave a load of shit to. Anyway, so that's what I thought of it. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I think they should do better, and I think they should surprise us next year. And I think they could do it having a new producer just for the late. I think they should have. I don't know how it works, right? But that's what I think. I'm not going to dwell on it too long. I'm going to go back to my girls, okay? And thank you very much for listening. And I'll see you in the new year. That's me done, right? I'm not going to be around. I have a podcast coming out next week with Shane Daniel Byrne and Killian Sunderman that we recorded in a Toyota. That's coming out next week. But aside from that, if you want to hear more from me, there'll be one more podcast this Friday on the Patreon. And then I'm taking a bit of a break. I'm going to enjoy Christmas. I'm going to enjoy paternity. And I'm going to see you in the new year. I love you. Thank you. This is my 3rd year doing this podcast. This is my 3rd annual toy show. Thank you so much for listening to this. I love you. I fancy you. And thank you for making my life an absolute joy. All the best. Bye-bye.